Hello everyone. Today, as you can see from my presentation slideshow, we're going to talk about bottles. And as you can see from the picture, which is a Coca-Cola in glass bottle changing into Coca-Cola in plastic bottles. So it is obvious that today our topic is going to be about plastic bottles. But before moving on to problems with plastic bottles, let's first take a look into the history of bottles. So, in 1622, there was the selling of the first bottled water, which was in glass bottles, and it was not until 1862 when there was the first man-made plastic invented by Alexander Parks. And the first commercial use of plastic bottles was only until 1946, and this kind of plastic bottles was invented by Dr. Jules Montagnier. And after a few decades, in 1973, there was the first PET. The full name is a polyethylene terephthalate bottle invented. And so today our topic is going to be focused on the creation of the first PET bottle. And let's take a look at the problems of plastic bottles in 1950s when the PET bottle was not invented. So in the 1950s, plastic bottles was rapidly replacing glass bottles and containers. And however, it was not used for carbonated beverages. And this was because the plastic bottles were not strong enough, and the carbonation process with those beverages will make plastic bottles expand and even explode. So back in that time, companies like Coca-Cola would not use plastic bottles to store their drinks. Instead, they would use a glass bottle. And so our main character today, Nathaniel Wyeth, who was born on October 24th, 1911, and he grew up in a family of painters, but yet he became a chemical engineer. And so in the 1950s, Wyeth was a young engineering at DuPont, and he found out that conventional plastic bottles did not work out for carbonated beverages because they do not have adequate strength to hold the carbonated beverages. And he was intrigued by this problem, and he started to work on a plastic bottle that can handle the pressure of carbonation. And here comes to our solution of dealing with plastic bottles that cannot hold carbonated beverages, which is a PET bottle. So in 1961, Wyeth tested with polyethylene and had several successful runs, but he failed to create the bottom of the bottle using that material. And so from 1962 to 1968, Wyeth worked on a variety of materials and processes, ranging from textile fibers to films and even to electronics to see if it works. And by late 1968, Wyeth tested with high-density polyethylene or a high-density polypropylene, and eventually he created the process called slug-orientated molding process to mold the plastic bottle. But there were still two issues remained, which is that the two materials did not have the enough strength to handle the pressure of carbonation or the sufficient impermeability to contain carbon dioxide. And so, Wyeth experimented with new materials, and this time, with other people's advices, he used polyethylene terephthalate, which is PET. However, the experiment with PET was not an easy road. When he tried with this material, he he tested with nearly 10,000 trials and failures, creating 10,000 bottles with blobs of resins, cake on a mold, or even crude shapes that did not even look like a bottle. But finally, Wyeth reached to a success, which is a clear bottle made from PET. And according to Wyeth, when he succeeded, and it looked as if the mold was empty, but a closer look revealed something else, which is a crystal clear bottle. And this is how the first PET bottle was invented. So here are some of my own thoughts about PET bottles. So when I first look into PET bottles, because since it is also a plastic bottle, and I would think that I would wonder if this plastic has any environmental concerns. But actually after doing my research, it turns out that the PET bottles are recyclable and reusable. And there are actually quite a few ways that PET bottles can be recycled. So including physical recycling and also the chemical ways of recycling. So this means that compared to other kinds of plastics, PET bottles are actually quite environmentally friendly. So, and this comes to me, and I really think that the PET bottle is actually a very great invention, because while the creation of this kind of bottle brings so much convenience to our life, so we use for many drinks, water, Coca-Cola, all these kind of drinks would use PET bottle to store the beverage, which bring many convenience to our daily life, and it also did not bring too much damage to our environment. So I think this PET bottle is a very great invention. And this is the end of my presentation. And thank you very much for listening.